So in this lecture we will continue with our example on assets and we will learn about how to play back an audio. So let's start. This was our code. We were able to display a grid of different buttons where each button was associated with an asset, and our assets are the sound files. We have implemented it using recycler view and using a grid of 3. So now let's move forward and we should learn about how to play back sounds. So let's go to the class called beat grid and we will try to create a sound pool that will help us in playing back the sound. So sound pool can load a large set of sounds into memory and control the maximum number of sounds that are playing back at any given time. So if our user gets too mixed and he wants to play with the sounds, he can play with it using a sound pool. So yeah, in the beat grid we start from the beginning. After the folder address, let's define one more variable, which is private static final int max sounds equal to 5. We can give any number. We are starting with 5. Then we create another variable of type sound pool, which is under android.media sound pool, and then in our original constructor we add few other thing. Sound pool equal to new sound pool max sounds audio manager dot. Now you can see that different functions with the audio manager provides you stream alarm, stream DTMF, stream music, stream notification, etc. etc. So we are currently interested in the music, and then we create it. So you can see that there is a line which is cutting the sound pool. This is because we are using an older constructor of sound pool. So let it remain currently as it is, and we will try to handle it later. So code is still working. It is just giving you a indication that this particular constructor is deprecated. Okay, now basically from the lollipop onward, lollipop introduced a new way of creating a sound pool using a sound pool dot builder. But since the builder is not available on the older devices, we are continuing with the deprecated constructor. So let's now move on. Let's go to our sound.java and we should start now loading some sound. So first thing, that earlier in the sound.java we hadn't done much. Now we will add few more functionalities. I hope many of you understand the difference between integer and int. Integer is a class and we are currently creating an object, while small int is a primitive type. So now let's go and let's add some more getters. Public integer get sound ID, public void, this is a setter, set sound ID, integer s m sound id equal to s. Now we would go to the beat grid again, and in the sound pool, and basically in load sounds here, we will write another function which is a simple load. Private void load sound throws IO exception. Yeah, so in this function we will do the actual work of reading from the asset, from the files that we have added as assets, and bringing and connecting them basically with our sound pool that we are trying to create. So we use a method called asset file descriptor afd equal to massets dot openfd sound dot get asset path, and then int sound id to m sound pool dot load fd, then sound dot set sound id to sound id. So here we try to connect, and basically calling this load function will load a file into our sound pool for the later playback. Yes. Now we have to just use this function, the load sound function, into our main class and get the sounds loaded. So let's go back to the main class where we were using load sounds function, and in this we will just try to add everything. So we were earlier using a for loop where we were giving the asset path, we were creating the sound. Now we will just call load sound. Now this is throwing an exception, so we will have to put a try and catch block. So I will just put a try, and I will put a catch IO exception IOE. Then we do, now this is an error, so I am taking the E label of the log, tag could not load sound, and then I'll just give the file name for which it happened and also the exception that has been got. Now the only thing that is left for playing the sound is to add the play method to the beat grid class. So let's add a play method. Let's say here, which will actually play the sound, because so far our code was all about loading it correctly. If sound id equal to null, then return, otherwise call the play method of the sound pool, provide the sound ID. So rest of the things which determine the left volume, right volume, priority, loop float rate, we will currently just give the default values which are very standard. So you can, so unless you want something else, these values would serve you well for any audio playback task. So this is fine. So these values, what do they mean? Basically, you may have seen the different parameters. So volume on the left, volume on the right, volume on the left, volume on the right, the priority, and then we have the parameter for whether it should loop or not, and then the playback rate. So everything is currently fine. Now, basically, we have to also play the sound when we press the button. So for pressing the button, we need to implement a listener on press button. So let's go to our class, the sound holder, which was given in this, and let's create a listener. So implements view dot on click listener, giving you an error because we have to implement a method which is a on click method here. So I go and I override public void on click uv, then m beat grid dot play sound, and then I just add this, set the listener into action. Okay, so this is now fine. So let's first hear to one of the sound, and then we will try to see if the same sound played or not. So I am playing this sound. Let me set my PC. So one more time. So that is the sound of the first clip, and once we press the button we should hear it. So let's now run our program and see whether we actually hear it or not. So yeah, press the button, launching, it launches. So this was the sound which we just heard. Let's press the button now. Yes, so now our app is playing a sound. So we have sort of completed our app, which tells us about assets as well as playing back sound. So now just as you can see that we created a sound pool. So we can actually create a pool of multiple sounds. Yes. So that is all very good, except that we have to also do some cleaning. So we will go here and we will have to also release our M sound pool when the work is done. So let us go and let us write a release method. Public void release m sound pool dot release. So this is our release method, and then we go into the beat grid and we release it when we are done, and that will happen when our app is in the destroy. So we have already loaded other methods. Sorry, so we go to the beat grid fragment. We have already overridden on our method on create view, etc. Now let's also write the method for destroy. So at override public void on destroy super dot on destroy m beat grid dot release. So yes, so now we have pretty much done everything that is needed to make a basic sound app. We are loading, we are playing, and we are also releasing. So yes, there we go. We released and everything is fine. Now let's run our application, and as usual we will try to test it for rotation. First let's set some sounds. So this is a long running sound. And while the sound is playing, we will rotate. And as you saw that the sound stopped abruptly. So we will have to, so this is an unexpected behavior and we will have to write some code so that it does not happen. So let's go back into the onCreate method of the beat grid fragment. And what we want to do is actually we want the fragment to retain the instance. So this is the fragment that is not retaining its instance. So we will just go there and set this property, and once the fragment retains it, hopefully something good should come out of it. So in the onCreate, I'm only saying set retain instance true. Now with this we can rotate it and our sound continues. So our sound continues. As you see, I'm playing multiple controls, and even though I rotate, my sound does not stop. So just by set retain instance, which is by default false, but because we are now setting it true, we can rotate it and the playback continues uninterrupted. So this is all very good. So in this lecture, you have learned to play back a sound and make sure that it continues to play back even if you rotate, and also to use the sound pool for the same purpose and to use the sound pool and then to release it. So thank you.